Part 23. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 222. A piece of grass transformed into an overwhelming shadow, terrifying and boundless, directly slashing towards the entire third heaven. At this moment, all the walls of the third heaven were shattered by this aura. The terrifying pressure made the entire third heaven wailed. And at this moment, in the third heaven, a long river meandering on the earth suddenly turned into a monstrous python, facing the blade of grass. Boom! Endless waves exploded above the sky of the third heaven. The river is rolling and falling from the sky. The river was chopped into pieces. At this moment, in the third heaven, a terrifying voice with ferocious anger came out. Who dares to violate the third heaven? At this moment, in the third heaven, a very ominous aura suddenly came out. The blade of grass was taken back instantly. Lu Rang hugged the pot of grass and was extremely excited at this moment. It's not in vain, this grass is not in vain. He was very excited. When the grass became immortal, he clearly felt that his will was integrated into the grass. As soon as he thinks about it, he can fight with this grass. The grass has become immortal, which is almost equivalent to him becoming immortal. Around him, a group of senior brothers looked at Lu Rang with complex expressions written all over their faces. Horrible, terrible. That pot of grass was the one that killed thousands of creatures and became immortal. Extremely cruel. I felt an ominous breath. At this time, Qing Chen looked towards the third heaven. Everyone looked solemn. That's the forbidden area of the third heaven. At this time, Ji Yuanqing had already rushed over. His old face was extremely excited. These young people are so powerful, far beyond their imagination. There are forbidden areas in the three heavens. The forbidden areas here are almost all formed by the Tianjun who failed to attack the immortal king. Ji Yuanqing introduced it and said, these heavenly kings often have some background in the holy way. They want to realize the complete Hongmeng Avenue in this life, but they encounter great weirdness in the world. They themselves are part of the weirdness. And the stone order that Senior Li wants should be hidden in this forbidden area and kept by the owner of the forbidden area. After listening to Ji Yuanqing's words, Zhe Guyuqing and others understood instantly. To put it bluntly, we brothers have to bulldoze the forbidden area today. Lu Rang stepped forward carelessly and said, walk. Zhe Guyuqing and others immediately stepped forward together. Not timid at all. The 200,000 heavenly soldiers and generals who followed from behind were all so shocked at this moment that they could only follow forward. The third heaven. Dark Saint Waterfall. This is a waterfall without a source. The rapid, dim water seemed to flow out of the void. At this moment, a remnant soul submerged into the waterfall. Within the waterfall, it is an endless deep water cave. The faint blue light looked extremely evil. The bottom of the cave. There are three figures sitting cross-legged. These three statues are almost rotten on their bodies. One of them only had some black flesh on his head. The other two's eye sockets were rotten. In front of them, there was a pool of black water. There is a platform in the center of the pool. On the stage, an ancient order was suspended. At this moment, the remnant soul that had escaped from the outside world finally arrived. Kneeling on the ground, it was Xuanhuan. He screamed miserably. Three lords, the first heaven realm has made a comeback, and the remnants of the Ji family have killed all our heavenly lords, immortal lords, etc. Hearing this, an ominous aura suddenly surged around the three sitting figures. The remnant soul of Xuanhuan, who was kneeling on the ground, was extremely frightened. That kind of aura actually made his soul body grow layers of white down. How dare the remnants of the first heaven realm take action against our realm? A hoarse ancient voice sounded. Heh, maybe it's someone from the Ji family who can't wait to come back. We are stained with evil, and only the holy descendant can resolve it. I originally wanted to trap myself here, so as not to cause trouble in the void sea, but the first heaven is so provocative, no wonder I am. They suddenly stood up. The next moment, their figures suddenly disappeared from the place. Outside world. Duguyuking and others chased the remnants of Xuanhuan and killed them all the way. Stopped in front of the waterfall. Weird. It does have an ominous atmosphere. Looking at this waterfall, I feel strange. Duguyuking and others all frowned. It was indeed a forbidden area, which made them all a little afraid. But, right now, in the waterfall, 3 more figures suddenly appeared. A creature coming out of the restricted area. Duguyuking is dignified. They looked closely and saw 3 almost rotten figures. When they left the waterfall, white hair suddenly appeared on their bodies. At this moment, a strange and ominous atmosphere suddenly overwhelmed the sky. This space seemed to be targeted by evil spirits. An inexplicable aura enveloped Duguyuking and others. Behind them, the heavenly soldiers and generals who had followed them all the way suddenly screamed in agony. Ah, why do I have hair? No, this kind of white hair makes me feel like I'm about to be taken away. Countless people spoke. Why do I feel that my skin is itchy, as if something is about to come out? Wu Dade spoke with fury. There is indeed a layer of fine hair on his skin. But it grows very slowly. Damn, me too. Lu Rang was also surprised. Long Xuanhuan and Lin Zhujian are also growing now. But, why doesn't it affect us? Duguyuking frowned. He, who has achieved immortality, as well as Qing Chen and Zhang Li, are all safe and sound. This, can only the immortals be able to resist? It is indeed a forbidden area. Zhang Li murmured and spoke. And below. The 3 white-haired beings all had shock in their eyes. What a strong aura of the holy way. If we devour them, I feel that we can return to normal without the holy descendant. This is the opportunity God has given us, this is the opportunity God has given us. The 3 of them were all excited at this moment. They suddenly took action and killed Long Xuanhuan and others. At this moment, terrifying fluctuations suddenly appeared. Mixed with an ominous aura, white fur was flying in the air. Countless people in the rear screamed in agony. These 3 ghosts are difficult to deal with. Duguyuking and others' expressions changed. Although they were immortal, they could only remain unaffected. There was nothing they could do about this kind of immortality. Don't be afraid. At this time, Lu Rang suddenly stepped forward. In his hand, a scroll has appeared. He slowly unfolded the scroll. In the scroll, there is a big sun. Boom. Suddenly, a terrifying and boundless golden light burst out from the painting. Like a real sun. The vast and majestic power of the sun turned the thick, fluttering white hair into nothingness in an instant. The ominous power actually disappeared at this moment. No. The 3 white-haired beings looked horrified. The decree of the Holy Way? How is it possible? The Holy Spirit has not yet arrived, and there are no saints in the world. How could this be so? Could it be that a saint from the Ji family has returned? They were all extremely shocked. In the picture of the great sun path, the light fell. The white hair on the bodies of the 3 evil beings suddenly fell off in large swaths. They screamed miserably, and their bodies turned into pus. Then, be evaporated. Totally unacceptable at this time. In place, only 3 strange grey mist were left. For a moment, they seemed to have submerged into the hidden space, never to be seen again. Bang! At this moment, the Dark Saint waterfall suddenly exploded. The water has stopped flowing, and the place is in a mess. A pond appeared in the void. On a stone platform in the pond, a stone token lay quietly. Found it? Duguyuking stepped forward and landed on the stone platform. He picked up the stone order and put it away. Then he returned to Lu Rang and others. Are we evened out in this forbidden area? At this time, Lu Rang spoke in confusion. This haven't started yet. Why is there no more? Master's Dao map is so terrifying that it can even level the forbidden area. Xuanhuan had a complicated look on his face, and the strange feeling on his body had disappeared. Others have also returned to normal. The 200,000 heavenly soldiers and generals at the rear also recovered. Looking at the ruins in front of them, everyone was shocked to the extreme. A forbidden area was leveled. Is the legend that the forbidden area is impenetrable broken like this? It's too scary. In the eyes of a being like Senior Li, there may be no so-called forbidden areas in the world. Huo Ling Holy Master Yuan Yang and others all looked extremely complicated. The third heaven is destroyed. Haha, the third heaven is destroyed. At this moment, Ji Yuanqing was extremely excited. The great revenge of the first heaven realm in the past has finally been avenged. That senior is indeed an ancestor of the Ji family. With one casual move, a world was destroyed and a forbidden land was leveled. Not good. At this time, a piece of news came. Outside in the void sea, tens of millions of armies from the second world and the fourth world are gathering. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. It seems that the second heaven realm and the fourth heaven realm learned about the troops sent out. After the entire army was wiped out, they all rushed out. No one can compete with me this time. Xuanhuan's figure disappeared directly from the place. He was simply anxious. Wait for me. Wu Date and Lin Zhichuan also hurriedly followed. Now, there are only 3 of them left, and there is still an ultimate battle left. When Huo Ling and others saw this, their expressions became complicated again. This is really a race to the top. There are tens of millions of people in the heavenly army. For anyone, they are probably the world's annihilating existence, but now they regard it as a great opportunity. And at this moment, the next day is outside the realm. A strange scene appeared. A huge black pig, carrying a huge grey wood coffin, appeared in the void. There is also a young man sitting on its pig's nose. This black pig carries the black coffin and heads towards the next world. What are you doing here? Chen Xuanbei asked doubtfully. The 3 major heavens all have some forbidden areas. Although these forbidden areas are not very good, they are tainted with a little weirdness. As pawns, they can consume part of the power of that existence. The black pig ate and said, that person in the heaven is definitely not simple. You must be cautious and careful. Hearing this, Chen Xuanbei pondered and suddenly said. Have you been to the forbidden areas of the 3 heavens? Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 223. Shortly after, black pigs appeared from the void carrying a huge coffin. It stopped in front of a mass grave. The worst buried people in this mass grave are all immortals. There are broken monuments and barren tombs everywhere, and ghosts and fires are glowing. It's desolate, gloomy, and has a vague aura that makes people palpitate. This, forbidden area. Chen Xuanbei spoke in shock. But the black pig continued to move forward, dragging the coffin. When its trotters set foot on this land, suddenly, as if it had endured some incredible force, the earth cracked open inch by inch. Countless graves of immortals were destroyed and covered with bones. Even the tombs of Tianjun level collapsed. Who broke into my sleeping place? An old voice sounded. A large tomb in the deepest part suddenly opened, and a skeletal hand grasped the ground and crawled out of the tomb. It was an old man. He had 3 right hands, 1 left hand, 5 rotten legs, and a head with hideous and extremely ugly features. He was a heavenly king during his lifetime, but he failed to challenge the immortal king, but he was tortured by the bad luck and turned into this kind of monster. The old man climbed out of the tomb and saw the black pig and the grey coffin. No. The old man backed away in horror. How is it possible? How did you end up like this? Don't you even have a chance to survive the holy surrender? He seemed to recognize this black pig. You are wrong. The black pig opened his big mouth. The holy descendants has already begun. For my vanguard, I will grant you the greatest opportunity. Soon after, the fourth heaven. In a deserted cold pool. This is also a forbidden place. A giant black pig appears here. In the cold pool, a white skeleton jumped out. Beyond the first heaven. In the void sea. Nearly 30 million troops gathered. The second world and the fourth world were almost full of people. They had previously sent Tianjun to participate in the battle, so the moment Tianjun's soul lamp went out, they all knew that a disaster was coming. At this time, you must go all out. Why, I smell a strong smell of blood in this void. In the next world, the leader was a man wearing golden armor, his brows furrowed. Tianjun bone corrosion, what do you think? He raised his eyes and looked at the old man opposite who had a row of bone necklaces hanging around his neck. That old man is the person in charge of the fourth heaven realm, the bone-corroding heavenly lord. Jin Mi, you and I may suffer a catastrophe this time. Bone corrosion heavenly lord spoke in a deep voice. Ha ha, great calamity. Jin Mi Tianjun sneered and said. I have long been prepared to endure what the world calls the catastrophe of immortality, let alone this time, what can you do to me? He disdains directness. But, he just finished speaking. In the third heaven, a stream of light rushed out quickly. A punch followed. Hundreds of dragon soul roars. Killing Jin Mi Tianjun in the sky. This punch is unparalleled in horror. What a terrible punch. Jin Mi Tianjun was shocked and hurriedly defended. Boom. With this punch, almost the void was blown away. Long Xuanhuan has already charged in. This time, you are my stepping stone. Long Xuanhuan shouted angrily. He rushed directly to everyone in the second world. One person can defeat tens of thousands. Among them, there are also masters such as Tianjun and Xianjun. Kill him. One by one, the immortal kings took action in anger. However, as soon as the two immortal lords approached him, they were directly blasted by his violent dragon soul fist. This boy is extraordinary. Surround and kill. Several heavenly kings and dozens of immortal kings immediately surrounded and killed him. At this moment, Wu Dade and Lin Zhuchen have also killed themselves in the void, and they are rushing towards the fourth heaven. Eat my butt. Wu Dade fell like a mountain. It's too much. An immortal lord punched out in anger, but Wu Dade remained motionless. The next moment, the immortal lord was directly killed. Hiss. Everyone was surprised. Surround and kill. The bloody battle begins immediately. Lin Zhuchen also joined the battle group, and his spells continued to wave, making a group of immortal kings feel uneasy. 3 people, fighting against an army of more than 20 million. Especially the battle group that Long Xuanhuan was in was extremely terrifying. With every punch, there are hundreds of dragon shadows. It's more like he himself has transformed into a real dragon in human form, killing fiercely and unparalleled in the world. In fact, the more he faced the heavenly lord-level powerhouse, the more powerful his combat power became. Unparalleled. This son is very likely to have the inheritance of the ancient dragon, he must be killed. Jin Mi Tianjun's eyes were extremely shocked. The giant dragon clan, that was the former holy clan. Although it no longer appears now, it is a big deal if one appears. After all, the dragon clan has some blood of true dragons circulating in them. At this moment, a young man actually practiced the skills of the giant dragon clan. How could they not be surprised? Immediately, everyone tried their best. The terrifying ocean of spiritual power is about to rush down. At this moment, there was blood on the corners of Long Xuanhuan's mouth. He fought to the point of madness. But, just now, he kept feeling that he wasn't at the end yet. Now, he finally reached the limit he wanted. The dragon's blood is invincible, the dragon's soul is unparalleled, and the dragon's power is unparalleled. A dragon can soar to the 9 heavens. Invincible! He roared. The golden blood in the whole body is boiling. Hundreds of dragon souls suddenly reunited. He seemed to have transformed into a divine dragon. The terrifying ocean of spiritual power poured down by 7 or 8 heavenly lords and hundreds of immortal lords could almost severely injure the immortal king, but at this moment, he opened his mouth and swallowed him directly. His aura exploded directly. Boom! It's like an ancient dragon awakening. The void sea boils. Tens of millions of troops could not help but kneel on the ground. This is the ultimate coercion. There is only one statue in the world. Xuanhuan's body was filled with golden light and dragon roars. He took one step forward. In an instant, hundreds of immortal monarchs in front vomited blood. Ah! How coercive is this? Am I facing a real dragon? These immortal kings are all miserable. Even Jinmi Tianjun and others turned pale. Extremely difficult. This person, his enlightenment is too terrifying. The Holy Way, he has been in contact with the laws of the Holy Way. There must be a giant dragon behind him, there must be. The giant dragon is the hybrid descendant of the true dragon, so it's not extinct. Everyone was trembling. And Xuanhuan is above millions of sentient beings. His long hair was flowing down, and stars seemed to be exploding in his eyes. I'm invincible. As you wish. He glanced at Wu Date and Lin Zhichuan. Then he turned around and retreated. Now, of the 7 disciples participating in this battle, only 2 of them are left without a breakthrough. I guess, are we the only ones left? Wu Date was a little embarrassed. In fact, he has faced countless attacks, and the flesh on his body has been tempered countless times. However, he still didn't feel like he was about to break through. The same is true for Lin Zhichuan. His way is the way of the heavenly master. Fighting can give him a certain amount of inspiration, but it is just inspiration. How dare you say you are invincible even if you are just a descendant of a giant dragon? At this time, in the void sea, an old and hoarse voice sounded. Like an evil ghost. In an instant, the dark wind swept thousands of miles away. The tens of millions of troops all had their expressions changed dramatically. This void sea area was instantly filled with an ominous aura. In the void, an old man wearing a shroud and a white skeleton were seen walking step by step. Behind them, a huge black pig, carrying a grey wooden coffin, walked across the void, following closely behind. At this moment, everyone looked at it and their expressions changed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 224. A white skeleton, an old man wrapped in a shroud. When these 2 people appeared, the entire void sea area was filled with an ominous aura. At this moment, the cultivation of tens of millions of troops felt distorted. I feel like I'm going to mutate. No, will we all become slaves of the restricted area? 2 lords of the forbidden land, 2. The world is trembling. Jinmi Tianjun and others even took a breath of air. What happened here actually triggered such a being? The Lord was born. Bone erosion heavenly Lord murmured, and he saluted the white bones. That is the Lord of the 4th heaven realm, the stone order guarding the 4th heaven realm. Now, it actually appears. To be able to disturb the forbidden area, is terrifying. Jinmi Tianjun also murmured, stepped forward and bowed. They were all familiar with these 2 lords of the forbidden area. What happened here? At this moment, The old man with the shroud spoke coldly. Bone Corrosion Heavenly Lord immediately said, the first heaven realm is making a comeback. The third heaven realm cannot resist it. We are here specially. Hearing this, the old man in shroud said coldly. In the third heaven, there are 3 old friends here. Who can shake the foundation of this world? He disdained. Ha, speaking of it, that young man actually practiced the method of the giant dragon clan, which is surprising. Depriving him of his holy principles can extend my life for a lifetime. The Lord of the Bone Forbidden Land raised his hand. Suddenly, a taboo aura spread across the void sea area. The sky and the earth were overwhelming, as if there were countless ghost hands in the void, pulling towards Long Xuanhuan. Long Xuanhuan was shocked. The immortal Dao fruit exploded with all its strength, and the golden light shocked the sky. He was fighting against the forbidden aura. At this moment, wisps of grey mist seemed to appear, taking the form of humans, and trying to wrap themselves around him. Long Xuanhuan's power reached its extreme. Some of the immortals around him were beaten to pieces by him, but the human form transformed from the grey mist was unscathed. Weird. Long Xuanhuan shouted. Junior brother Wu, I'll be here soon. At this moment, a divine light from behind suddenly pierced the sky. A series of extremely terrifying golden lights followed. 4 big characters suddenly appeared in this world. Evil. No. Press. Just. Those 4 words are like the supreme calligraphy of a certain being. Every stroke shakes the galaxy. The righteousness is overwhelming, overwhelming the sky. At this moment, the grey fog suddenly dissipated. All the taboo auras in the void are as if they were swept away by thunder. All were crushed. No. The Lord of the Bone Forbidden Land screamed in agony at this moment. When those 4 words appeared, it was like a huge force was applied to it, and its bones exploded inch by inch. Turn into bone meal. The saints will never end? There will be no end to the saints in heaven and earth. The old man in the shroud screamed miserably. Under this kind of power, the shroud on his body actually burned directly, burning him to ashes. The 2 lords of the forbidden area were both destroyed. Seeing this scene, the tens of millions of troops all turned pale with horror. And the huge black pig screamed like a slaughtering pig at this moment. No. All I want in my life is the holy way, which goes to heaven and earth, and is eternal. How could I be killed and brought under the holy Dao? The black pig screamed miserably, and his body split open. There was no blood, and black mist continued to disperse. The pig body collapsed. Instead, there was an invisible figure. That is a majestic existence. On his body, the black and white Taoist robes were spread out. He was obviously very powerful, but at this moment he was painful and ferocious. No. Chen Xuanbei, who fell aside, said in shock. You are the king of black and white. That black pig is actually the king of black and white? This is too scary. At this moment, he suddenly understood completely. Why, with the help of that black pig, was he able to go back to the burial ground of the king of black and white and drag out a coffin? Because the black pig itself is some kind of evil intention of the king of black and white? I am not willing to accept it, the holy way, the holy way. The evil thoughts of the king of black and white roared wildly, and it suddenly opened the coffin boards of the grey wood coffin. A piece of human skin floated out. Among them, there is only one piece of human skin. Kill, kill. The evil thoughts of the king of black and white suddenly plunged into human skin. At this moment, the human skin actually bulged. An invincible being appeared in an instant. He is a majestic man, wearing a long robe. His eyes are one black and one white, and his body is filled with yin and yang. The holy way, don't hurt me either. What controls this body at this moment is the evil thought of the king of black and white. He took a step forward, stretched out his big hand, and actually wanted to snatch the calligraphy from Dugu Yuking's hand. Dare you? At this moment, Dugu Yuking, Lurang Cao, Long Xuanhuan, etc. are fighting hard. However, countless attacks turned into nothingness under the big hand of the King of Black and White. The legend is true, the King of Black and White, in an era when the Holy Way did not exist, he vividly proved the complete Hongmeng Avenue, so, he is invincible. Jinmi Tianjun and others were all shocked. As expected of an invincible man who was born in the wrong era. Bone corrosion Heavenly Lord murmured. The endless stars tremble. Long Xuanhuan and others were almost in despair. This is too strong. How to spell? When they were Deluo Jinxian, they could fight against immortals, and they could even borrow the power of the immortal Lord to ascend to a higher realm. But now, they feel. The power of the King of Black and White is so terrifying. This is the real power of Hongmeng. Let me. At this time, Zhang Li suddenly stepped forward. The chessboard appears. Black and white intertwined. This time, a faint light suddenly appeared on his body. It turned into a faint silhouette. This person is exactly the same as the King of Black and White in the void. At this moment, the whole audience was shocked. What's happening here? Two kings of black and white? I understand, this young man actually has a mark of the King of Black and White. This is, the King of Black and White in different periods. At this moment, they meet here across time and space. Jinmi Tianjun looked shocked. In front of Zhang Li, the King of Black and White looked at the figure in the void. Have I ever been lost in the future? Evil thoughts are everywhere and greed is endless. Yes, I have thought about making myself the ultimate evil, and then transforming into the ultimate good, so as to complete Hongmeng. It seems that the future me has put it into practice. He sighed deeply and said, I'm here to lure you and restore your clarity. He took one step forward. The next moment, he suddenly appeared on the future King of Black and White in the void. He became a light, injected into the body of the future King of Black and White. At this moment, there is only one King of Black and White left in the sky. In his eyes, black and white were rotating. One left eye suddenly gradually turned white. No. Within the body, the evil thoughts of the King of Black and White scream miserably. The original intention will eventually return, because, in the past, I have seen the perfect chess game and glimpsed the perfect holy way. A murmur followed. The next moment, the screams of evil thoughts disappeared. And the King of Black and White who belonged to the past has also disappeared. This mark was left on Zhang Li by the King of Black and White in the past when he saw the small mountain village in heaven. At this moment, he finished the last thing. No longer exists in any time and space. At this moment, there is the only King of Black and White in the world. His left eye turned from black to white. His eyes are like stars, one black and one white. A trace of clarity slowly appeared in his eyes. He raised his eyes and looked at Zhou Tianqi. I never thought that the body of evil thoughts that faded away could still come back from evil thoughts. He murmured and stood with his hands behind his back. He looked at Zhang Li and others. You are young, but you are cultivated by the holy way, it is enviable. With a slight smile on his lips, he took one step forward and arrived in front of Zhang Li and the others. Long Xuanhuan, Dugu Yuking, etc. are all extremely afraid. But Zhang Li looked at him in shock and said, You, the King of Black and White? The King of Black and White? Or, the Emperor of Black and White? He can't judge. The King of Black and White smiled slightly and said, King of Heaven. King of Heaven. The person he is at this moment is the person he was when he became the immortal king. Long Xuanhuan and others were deeply relieved to see that the King of Black and White could actually communicate at this moment. Otherwise, it would be really terrible. The King of Black and White is invincible. I've seen the King of Heaven. Zhang Li saluted. This is a senior in chess. However, The king of black and white shook his head and said, "There's no need to be polite. At your level and chess level, I may not be able to beat you." He is very calm. As an invincible king, he can admit his shortcomings. Being able to achieve this level of cultivation is inseparable from the support of my seniors. Zhongli was right. But the black and white king shook his head and said with a smile, "Don't say that. You referenced and fused my Tao, but I can see that the chess Tao you are following is a path to a higher realm." Hearing this, Zhongli became more and more respectful. Swordsmanship is truly immortal, it's rare to see, although you have some connection with Xiaowuji, your master is not him, and his attainments at this level are not as good as yours. The king of black and white looked at Zhuge Yuqing, commenting and approving. Zhuge Yuqing was completely shocked when he heard this. Xiaowuji? Is he talking about the infinite sword king? That, but a being who is also called a heavenly king, dares to draw his sword against countless immortal kings in anger. But in the eyes of the king of black and white, he seems to be just a junior. The king of black and white then looked at Lu Rang. He stared at Lu Rang's pot of grass. It should be a member of the Ji family. With a trace of the baptism of the Holy Way, Hongmeng was able to reach the realm of the immortal king. Hongmeng was considered a great success, and he was considered a genius of his generation, but he was killed by a sneak attack. The king of black and white told the truth about the fall of the first immortal king of the heaven in the past, and said, "It is your blessing to be reborn as a piece of grass and get great opportunities." The grass actually seemed to be nodding slightly at this moment. Lu Rang was also shocked. The black and white king, isn't it too scary? I have fought against giant dragons, but you have unparalleled dragon blood and have reached the extreme level of dragon power. You are not a descendant of the giant dragon clan. The black and white king looked at Long Zixuan, with a hint of regret in his eyes, and said, "If I could meet an opponent like you when I was young, I would have no regrets." Long Zixuan was shocked. The black and white king continued to glance at Wu Dade and Lin Zhichen. "I have never dabbled in the way you two cultivated, but it is also the true method of attaining sage." There was a look of admiration on his face, and he said with emotion, "I wonder what kind of master in this world can teach so many extraordinary geniuses." He looked at Zhongli and said word by word, "Such a senior master is very desirable. Can you introduce me to him?" Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 225. The king of black and white, who had regained his sanity, calmly commented on the cultivation and qualifications of Zhuge Yuqing, Long Zixuan, and others, but he was instantly full of curiosity and admiration for the masters behind them. "So," he asked. Hearing this, Zhongli was instantly stunned. The king of black and white, a truly invincible figure of a generation, actually wants to meet the master? From what he said, it was clear that he had great respect for his teacher. Long Zixuan and others also had complicated expressions. They know that master's level is immeasurable. But I didn't expect that a legendary figure like the black and white king would have to bow down. Brothers, what do you think? Zhongli turned his head and looked at Zhuge Yuqing and others. In my opinion, master has not issued a decree to kill him, which is enough to show that master is not disgusted with him. Lu Rang spoke. I think so. Master knows everything. Maybe he has expected this a long time ago. If he didn't make any arrangements in advance, he would just let nature take its course. Zhuge Yuqing also said. Zhongli nodded and said, "Can." The king of black and white smiled slightly and said, "Thank you." Even though he is the immortal king, he has no heirs when facing these juniors. Huh? But, it will have to wait. After saying that, the king of black and white suddenly looked up at the sky. There are some snacks that need to be cooked. He just finished speaking. Boom. The sky explodes. The sky collapses. The boundary wall was cracked directly. A terrifying big hand stretched out directly from the sky. This comes from an immortal king. However, the king of black and white just flicked his fingers indifferently. This big hand died directly. Who in the lower realm dares to be an enemy of the remnants of the first heaven? A loud shout. In an instant, waves surged across the sky. In many places, the breath of the immortal king is poured in. The immortal kings are trying to cross over. It's so slow and such a waste of time. The king of black and white seemed impatient to wait, so he waved his hand. In an instant, all those terrifying restrictions and walls in the void sea disappeared one after another. He broke through the boundary wall. Now, in the fairyland. Huh? The boundary wall and restriction were broken? So easy. Immortal King Mingluo was shocked, but then he was so surprised that he stepped into the lower world. How come I feel like there is a strong person in the lower realm? Immortal King Anchuo was confused, but he still plunged into the lower world. Something interesting. In the middle of a bright sun, a disembodied figure murmured and also sneaked into the lower world. They entered the void sea below. In an instant, the void sea almost boiled. Their appearance crushed billions of stars. Where? Immortal King Mingluo pointed, and in the next moment, he and Immortal King Aelin took one step forward, and the stars seemed to change. Before the third heaven. Although the person who came here is not a big deal, it involves the forces of the holy path. The senior behind you cannot reveal the ancient situation, let black and white handle this cause and effect. The king of black and white smiled calmly and waved his hand. In an instant, Duguyuking, Long Xuanhuan and others all had the illusion that they were hidden by some kind of secret. Although he is still here, it is almost as if he is invisible. Really invisible. He doesn't want people in the fairyland to see us. The involvement is too great. If those immortal kings see it, will the existence of Master be known to the immortal realm? They murmured. And at this moment, a terrifying and mighty aura has appeared from the void. The first immortal king has arrived. Like a big sun shining in the sky. Xianming Immortal King. The Xianming Immortal King appeared in the scene, looking at the black and white king in silence, frowning. Immediately afterwards, the void trembled again. Another person appears. Immortal King Anchuo. He is here, with a terrifying aura, overwhelming Tianyu. Mingluo is coming. With a loud shout, two figures appeared at the same time. Immortal King Mingluo stands side by side with Immortal King Aelin. At the same time, in another direction, another immortal king hidden in the holy light appeared. There are 5 immortal kings in total. The lower realm of the 5 immortal kings. At this moment, the void is silent. The people are speechless. This is an unprecedented scene. Even if it was the immortal king who killed the first heavenly realm in the past, there were not so many immortal kings to take action. It seems that everyone is here. At this time, the king of black and white spoke calmly. In an instant, the eyes of the 5 immortal kings were all focused on him. No, you are. At this moment, Immortal King Anchuo was suddenly shocked. The king of black and white. As soon as these words came out, the 5 immortal kings all stared at the black and white king. He is really the king of black and white. Oh my god, I should have thought long ago that the burial ground of the king of black and white is in the small mountain village in the heaven. The first change in the heaven must be the king of black and white. Born. Immortal King Mingluo murmured. At this moment, his face looked extremely ugly. The invincible was born in the wrong era. He once suppressed the immortal realm for hundreds of thousands of years. No one could defeat him. Even the restricted area was covered with his footprints. Immortal King Xianming sighed slightly and said, "How lucky I am to see you today." The hidden immortal king hidden in the holy light also spoke in a chaotic voice. The king of black and white, no, he's not. He is just a remnant of the king of black and white left in the long river of time. Hearing this, several people were solemn. Yes, he is definitely not the real king of black and white. The blood of the king of black and white once stained our clan's heavenly sword. I recognize him. At this time, immortal King Olin stepped forward even more. A broken body, it turns out that the movement in the first heaven was caused by you. At this time, immortal King Anchuo stepped forward. He stared at the king of black and white and said, "So, your Tao and your chessboard are also hidden in the first heaven? Haha, should I thank you? You were once the person closest to the holy path, but you eventually fell in the long river of time. You could not wait for the Holy Spirit to descend. Today is just the day to fulfill my wish." His eyes are burning. Perhaps it is the eternal regret of not being able to wait for the coming of the Holy Spirit that makes you wear human skin and refuse to perish. At this time, Xianming Immortal King also smiled lightly. "Black and white Immortal King, when I was young, I admired you. And now, I have become the King of Heaven, and you are only left with a piece of human skin." His breath was slowly released. King of Heaven. A generation of immortal kings. Facing the kings, the black and white king only smiled slightly. He looked at the Xiantian king so calmly and said with a smile, "The way of light? Is your master supposed to be the Xiankong immortal king? What a pity. In the past, I was the heavenly king and he was the immortal king. He was defeated by me. This way is not worth mentioning." He then looked at Antuo and said, "What about you? As a king of heaven, which clan's stone order do you worship before?" He shook his head and said, "In short, it is not the seventh lineage of the human race." His eyes swept over the immortal king hidden in the holy light. There was a trace of contempt in his eyes and he said, "Like your ancestor, you hide your head and show your tail, showing off more than once." Finally, he looked at immortal King Mingluo and immortal King Olin. "You are about to die. Even the Dao of Hongmen was obtained by force. You will be nothing more than a waste in your life. On the day of the descent of the Holy Spirit, you will either be a dog or die." He looked at Mingluo and shook his head, looked at the giant immortal King Olin, and said, "Your ancestor, after the sneak attack on me in the past, he thought he transformed into a forbidden area? Haha, if he doesn't transform into a forbidden area, he will transform into a path. He can't hold on." He smiled. "My ancestors once stained your blood with their swords and shattered your Dao foundation." Immortal King Olin said coldly, "Today, I am the King of Heaven, and you, with only a human skin left, dare to say arrogant words. It's useless to say more. This person is very likely to reach the perfection of the immortal way in the past. If we get his way, we will shine in the holy descent." The Xiantian king even stepped forward. "The kings are threatening. 3 heavenly kings and 2 immortal kings. In the past, I traveled all over the Forbidden Land and fought all over the place. In the future, I will wait for the Holy Spirit to descend and fight for the human race. Even though I am alone, with just this thought, in this life, black and white are still invincible." He smiled, suddenly paused, and said, "Before that senior, he is invincible." He did not say this to the kings. Instead, tell it to Zhuge Yuking and others who were kept secret by him. Arrogant, in this life, kill the king of black and white. The king of Xiantian, with a loud shout, illuminates for eternity. If you insult me, you will die. Immortal King Mingluo shouted angrily at the fist that blasted out Hongmeng. This heavenly sword chopped off your Dao foundation in the past. In this life, it will destroy you. King Olin is coming with a heavenly sword. King Anchuo steps down, and the world trembles. The immortal king hidden in the holy light, golden light falls down one after another. All kings take action together. However, the king of black and white is calm and fearless at this moment. He raised his hand, and the black and white thread suddenly appeared at the feet of the Xuanhuan king. If you don't understand darkness, how can you talk about light? He finished speaking. Ah! The Xuanhuan king suddenly shouted loudly, and all the light dispersed. His sun collapsed and fell directly. The Xianming king, dressed in white robes, fell into the void, vomiting the blood of the immortal king, with a horrified look on his face. The black and white king pointed at the immortal king Netherworld and said calmly, "If you don't fully understand life and death, how dare you call yourself Hongmeng?" Black and white intertwined, and in an instant, immortal King Mingluo screamed in pain, and the power of life and death exploded out of his body. Ah! He screamed miserably, as if he had fallen into Avasai hell, roaring in pain. Cause and effect involve too many things, how can we say we are free? The king of black and white looked at King Anchuo calmly. At this moment, behind King Anchuo, after images of Anchuo himself suddenly appeared. Those are twisted and crazy Anchuos. That was the most secret demon in his heart. No. At this moment, a look of fear appeared in King Anchuo's eyes. He stepped back and spat out a mouthful of blood. Form and soul are not integrated into each other, how can they be said to be powerful? The king of black and white flicked his fingers, and the king of Olin suddenly trembled all over and twitched on the spot as he raised his heavenly sword to slash at him. His soul was twitching and aching, causing the heavenly sword in his hand to fall into the void. As for you, you hide your head and show your tail, and you are not worth mentioning. The king of black and white waved his hand, and the threads of black and white were like two world knives, slashing down the being hidden in the holy light. The next moment, the holy light disappeared directly, and an old monk fell into the air, with cracks all over his body and fear in his eyes. Extremely. The king of black and white, standing with his hands behind his back. In just a short moment, he defeated 5 kings in a row. And he seemed to have made no move. At this moment, I finally believe that the king of black and white will definitely achieve enlightenment and become an emperor in an unknown time and space. The old monk's mouth was dripping with Buddha's blood, and he said word by word. You just calmly pointed out the shortcomings in our practice, and you defeated us. The immortal way is perfect. In an era when the holy way was not available, he actually proved the perfect way to the immortal way. His old eyes were filled with complexity. There was a great secret in his words. The reason why the king of black and white is called a legend among the immortal kings is because he achieved the perfection of the immortal path in an era when the holy path was not available. Almost all beings above immortality understand that there is a shortcoming in the immortal way. Only when the source of the holy way still exists in this world, can the perfect immortal way be cultivated. Only those who reach the end of the immortal way can make the final leap into the realm of the holy way. And when the Holy Spirit descends, it will bring great disaster. The source of the holy way reappears, and the order and rules of this world will be completed. Those beings who became immortals and immortal kings in the incomplete era will most likely bear the sword of God's will and their realm will fall. But in the legend, the black and white king was the person closest to the holy way in an era when the source of the holy way disappeared. It is said that he even lived 9 lives, reached the ultimate level of Hongmeng, and became the immortal emperor. He has been waiting hard for the coming of the Holy Spirit. All he needs is the holy descendants, all he needs is those holy path forces to return with the source of the holy path, and he can soar into the sky and officially enter the realm of the holy path. At that time, he will be invincible. However, there are also rumors that the Emperor of Black and White, who is known as the genius of the ages, did not wait for the holy decree in the end, leaving behind eternal regrets. Now, the King of Black and White reappears. Even if it's just a piece of human skin. But he still has an invincible grace in heaven and earth. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 226. The King of Black and White defeats the 5 kings. he is the only one in heaven and on earth. The 5 kings who were so powerful just now are all trapped in their own quagmire. But the king of black and white is so indifferent from beginning to end. This cannot be said to be a fierce battle at all. It is simply a complete crushing. When he raised his hand, the 5 kings bowed their heads. I won't kill you because Xuanhuan once said that you will die in the hands of others. The king of black and white spoke calmly and said, you teamed up to harm Xuanhuan, and someone will come with his sword to kill you. Get out. Hearing this, the 5 kings in the field quickly retreated without hesitation. Black and white, no matter how strong you are still nothing more than a piece of human skin. When you are done with it, today's great revenge will be avenged in front of your tomb. The Xiantian king left a harsh word and disappeared immediately. Go quickly. Immortal King Mingluo and King Alan even turned around and ran away. Cause and effect. King Anchuo's mouth was full of blood, he wiped it hard and said, I have recorded this cause and effect. He just disappeared. As for the old monk, his figure even faded, and then he disappeared. The 5 kings have already fled. The entire Void Sea area returned to calm instantly. The king of black and white stood with his hands behind his back, raised his eyes to look up at the sky, and suddenly sighed. The holy descendant is coming, I really want to visit the Yang forbidden place again. Pity. There was a look of regret on his face. However, this look of regret soon disappeared. He turned around, looked at Tuguyuking and others in the secret, showed a smile, and said, what more regret can you have to meet such a senior person? He waved his hand, and immediately, Tuguyuking and others reappeared from the secret. Facing the black and white king, Tuguyuking and others' faces were full of solemnity at this moment. This is definitely a truly powerful person. Even though there is only a piece of human skin and a thought left, he still possesses supreme grace. With the raise of his hand, all 5 kings will be destroyed. He is indeed a legendary figure among the immortal kings. Tuguyuking couldn't help but murmur. Too powerful. He is also the king of heaven and the king of immortals, but he directly crushes other people. Qing Chen spoke solemnly. Thank you, senior, for demonstrating chess skills to Zhang Li. At this time, Zhang Li bowed solemnly. He had just observed the black and white king's chess moves and gained a deeper understanding. There is no need to thank me. The senior behind you has already given you a supreme path. These paths of mine are just building blocks for you. The king of black and white only smiled slightly. Senior Wuji, was he harmed by these immortal kings just now? At this time, Tuguyuking asked. Ever since he got the remnant sword of the Wuji Sword King, he had always had an idea in his mind. Revenge. Revenge for the Wuji Sword King. Yes, these people will be left to you in the future. I believe that in the near future, you will be able to kill all the immortal kings in the immortal realm as Xuanhuan said. The king of black and white smiled and was full of praise for Tuguyuking. Senior, may I ask, what is the holy way that the immortal kings mentioned repeatedly just now? At this time, Qing Chen asked questions. Many disciples have doubts on their faces. Hearing this, the black and white king was startled for a moment and said, you don't know the holy way? He seemed shocked. I don't know. Qing Chen and others shook their heads. Hearing this, the black and white king fell into deep thought and said, didn't that senior tell you? In his opinion, behind Qing Chen and others, there is clearly an extremely terrifying existence. Absolutely standing in the holy way. Moreover, to be able to teach so many extraordinary talents, he must be a great person. For this kind of existence, the holy way is just at his feet. However, the disciples of such people do not know the holy way. Senior Qi, my master lives in seclusion in the world of mortals. He doesn't care about cultivation matters and regards himself as a mortal. Therefore, although he teaches us the Tao, he never talks to us about cultivation matters. Zhongli explained. Hearing this, the black and white king's face was shocked, and a look of deep reverence suddenly appeared on his face, and he said, living in seclusion in the world of mortals, not caring about spiritual practice, treating oneself as a mortal, such existences are truly transcendent, transcendent. He spoke with emotion and murmured. Perhaps this existence has already reached the other side? The true freedom, I am afraid it will last for hundreds of generations and will never be destroyed. Thinking of this, he looked at Zhongli and others, and suddenly showed a very solemn look on his face, saying, I dare to ask your respected master, but he is a human race. He even looked a little nervous. Human race? What's the problem? Zhongli and others nodded. What a blessing, what a blessing. The king of black and white suddenly touched his palms and was overjoyed. He burst into laughter and said, I understand, in this life, even if disaster strikes, with this senior here, there will definitely be a glimmer of hope. He stared at Tuguyuking and others and said, and when this senior accepts you, he must want you to participate in the future catastrophe and quell the chaos. There was even a hint of excitement in his words. Catastrophe. Quiet the chaos. Tuguyuking and others looked at each other with questions on their faces. The king of black and white opened his mouth to explain and said, in the realm of cultivators, the path to immortality is not the end, but only the beginning. After Hongmeng, there is the realm of the Holy Way. Do you know that in the original world, there were countless forces of the Holy Path, and they held the source of the Holy Path in their hands? The source of the Holy Way is the key to entering the realm of the Holy Way. Countless immortal kings have been pursuing all their lives for just a trace of the laws of the Holy Way. He sighed greatly. Then, why are there no holy forces in the world? Even in the fairyland is the pinnacle. Zhongli was confused. Because the disaster came, those forces of the holy path fled. They carried the source of the holy path and fled to a hidden place. They will only come back in the peaceful era after the disaster. King Black and White said, in this life, they should return. There was a trace of sadness on his face. In the past, he had searched hard and waited hard. Waiting for those forces of the holy path to return with the source of the holy path. Only in this way can he step into the realm of the holy path. But no matter what. Knowing that he has never waited until his death. Hearing this, Tuguyuking and others looked shocked. It turns out that this is actually the case? Senior, do you mean the immortal catastrophe that caused the holy Dao forces to flee? Zhongli continued to ask questions. The black and white king shook his head and said, no, that catastrophe spans the past, present and future, and the passage of time. I have not discovered what it is now, and I am not qualified to know. Maybe I in the future will know something. There was a deep heaviness in his words. Tuguyuking and others are even more awe-inspiring. Even as powerful as the black and white king, they are not qualified to know? The king of black and white continued to speak. But the so-called immortal catastrophe is actually nothing. It is just caused by the re-arrival of the power of the Holy Way. In this world, because the source of the Holy Way has disappeared, the immortal way is also incomplete. The immortality, the immortal king, and even the immortal king and the way that the world has proven are all flawed. It can be said that today's fairyland is nothing more than a group of pseudo-immortal and pseudo-immortal kings. When the source of the Holy Way reappears, the way of heaven will be completed, the pseudo-immortals will bear the sword of God's will, and the thunder disaster that existed in ancient legends will reappear, and few people can survive it. So, this is called the immortal catastrophe by the pseudo-immortals. In fact, it's just that they are as timid as rats. His words were full of contempt. And those forces of the Holy Way, before fleeing to the hidden place, will leave some tribesmen and seeds behind in order to find a way back. For these people who are involved with the forces of the Holy Way, They call it the immortal catastrophe. 4. Holy descent. The four heavens are just road signs left by the forces of the holy way. The king of black and white looked calmly at Xuanhuan below the void and said, he should be one of the 7 holy bloodlines of the human race, a descendant of the Ji family. Hearing this, Guyuking and others were shocked. Above the immortal way, there is still the holy way. The 4 heavens are actually just road signs. How terrifying must those holy forces be? Senior Ji is actually a descendant of the holy power. Everyone has complicated expressions. Then, in that case, won't we also have to bear the blow of God's will in the future? The immortal catastrophe seems very scary. Lu Rang spoke with a complicated look. Hearing this, the black and white king almost spat out a mouthful of old blood and said, are you still afraid? He looked Lu Rang up and down and said, do you know why those in the 3 heavens call the immortal tribulation the holy descendant? It is because the forces of the holy path have returned and they can obtain some of the laws of the holy path to help them survive the disaster and become true immortals and immortal kings, and then step into the holy path. And you, the holy Dao in you has become extremely strong. If I were here in my true form, I might even covet you. He looked disgusted. These young people have gone too far. I think back then, I went to heaven and earth, and even entered forbidden areas several times. But the shadow of the holy path was not found. Even if the holy path forces left some stone orders, they were not enough for him. But today, these people in front of me, each of them seems to be fed with the holy way. It is simply a walking treasure of the holy path. Just like this, are you still afraid of the catastrophe of immortality? So shameless. Guyuking and others were shocked when they heard this. You and others, have the holy path in your body? Could it be that Master isn't the immortal king? Lu Rang was a little dumbfounded. He always thought that the Master was a powerful immortal king. I didn't expect that. Master is really too transcendent. Zhongli looked complicated. Master has good intentions. He is afraid that we will be proud, so he doesn't tell us. Lin Zhuzhan spoke with determination. The realm of the holy way, Master is originally in the realm of the holy way. Everyone suddenly realized, and at the same time, they admired Li Fan even more. So it turns out that Master, in this grand chess game, even the immortal king is not qualified to participate. What he is targeting, is the holy Dao forces. Zhang Li murmured. Senior, can you introduce me to him? At this time, the king of black and white spoke again. Good. Zhang Li and others did not refuse. By the way, they. At this time, Guyuking pointed at the tens of millions of troops below. Now, those immortal kings, heavenly kings, etc. are all crawling and trembling. These people serve the great enemy of the human race. Let them disappear together with the 3 heavens. He waved his hand, and suddenly, the tens of millions of troops below turned into smoke before they could even let out a shout. Total destruction. And the 3 heavens exploded at this moment, like 3 huge fireworks, blooming in the quiet void sea. The 3 heavens are all destroyed. Seeing this scene, Guyuking and others were shocked. Is this the power of the true immortal king? With one thought, all worlds will be destroyed. Let's go. The king of black and white spoke. Walk. Zhongli and others nodded. Immediately, they disappeared from where they were. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 227. Soon. Guyuking and others, with the black and white king, finally arrived in heaven. The moment you step into heaven. The black and white king looked shocked and said. No. How is this possible? How do I feel that there is this nascent aura of the Holy Way in this world? Could it be said that in this world, there is the source of the Holy Way? He was shocked. The source of the Holy Way is the sacred substance and sacred avenue derived from the birth of heaven and earth. Generally speaking, they are hidden in some famous ancient mountains and rivers. For example, the G water in the G family contains the source of the Holy Way. The source of the Holy Way is limited. Moreover, when the holy forces fled, they clearly took away those famous mountains and rivers. This is also the reason why there is no source of the Holy Way in the world, and even the immortal way is incomplete. But, here, looking at the world below, his face was extremely complicated. OMG. The creatures in this world are all too happy, right? Before you know it, you have reached the essence of the Holy Way. How prosperous will this place be in the future? Could it be said that that senior wants to establish a world of the Holy Way? He muttered. What a handiwork! King of Heaven, please. Dugu Yuking spoke. They headed towards Xiantian Prefecture. Not long after, they had landed in front of the Kangli mountain range. Ahead, a small mountain village. The King of Black and White just glanced at it, and he was completely stunned, and his pupils shrank. Staring at the small mountain village. This is a perfect chess game. Really perfect. He spoke in shock. I finally understand that in the past, a brand of me once appeared here, and I saw the perfect chess game here, so I left a mark, waiting for me now. He murmured and looked at the chess game in front of him. Suddenly, countless black and white chessboards appeared under his feet. One by one, the chess pieces continued to fall on the chessboard, as if they had traveled through time and space. He is evolving the perfect situation in a small mountain village. In the past, the King of Black and White also came here, but at that time, he could not deduce. Zhongli murmured. In the past, Chen Xuanbei arrived in heaven with a chess piece from the King of Black and White. Chen Xuanbei was planning to use the chess piece to kill the creatures in the heaven, but in the end, the chess piece was sensed by this place and ended up here. It's a pity that the King of Black and White at that time could not evolve the chess game of the small mountain village. At this moment, the King of Black and White is so selfless. In his eyes, it was as if there were stars and rivers flowing, as if there were paths intersecting. The chess game in the small mountain village continues to evolve on his chessboard. Dugu Yuking and others were even more shocked. Because, they clearly felt that in this chessboard, it was like chaos was reappearing, and it seemed that an unimaginable world was being born. Soon. I have to deduce such a chess game. The King of Black and White has wild hair flying. His black hair was actually turning white at a speed visible to the naked eye at this moment. Not good. Zhongli was shocked and said, "This is a fateful situation for the King of Black and White." A fateful situation. This means that this chess game is too difficult and requires the player's life and blood to evolve. Even the Black and White King, who has unparalleled chess skills, can't evolve. Wu Dade spoke in shock. What kind of place is the small mountain village where we usually live? Lu Rang also murmured. I can't imagine, what kind of terrifying place Master has turned this small mountain village into. Qing Chen has a complicated expression. Only now did they understand that the mountain village environment they were accustomed to usually contains such a terrifying avenue. Ah! At this moment, the Black and White King in front of him let out a roar. He staggered back and the chessboard collapsed. Unable to support it? Failed. The King of Black and White in the past cannot be deduced. Although the King of Black and White at this moment has done more than the King of Black and White, he still faces a life-threatening situation and cannot complete it. King of Heaven. Zhongli hurriedly stepped forward. At this moment, he clearly felt that the aura of the Black and White King was rapidly weakening. He might simply disappear from this world. No need to panic. The king of black and white had a pale face and frosty hair. He seemed to be dozens of years older, but his eyes were full of admiration and he said, "I'm still too weak. However, if you can see such a perfect chess game, you will die without regrets. I still want to save my last breath to meet that senior. Walk." He spoke. They immediately entered the village. Entering the village, every plant, tree, ditch, and house can make the king of black and white stop for a long time and have a good taste. Duguyuking and others felt increasingly complicated. Huh? This person is. Suddenly, on the roadside ahead, the black and white king saw Ming Tianbei who was picking up trash. Demon. He was surprised. This is the lower realm of the immortal realm. Moreover, in this perfect chess game and the land of the Holy Way, how can there be demons appearing? My master allowed him to be a beggar in the village. At this time, Zhang Li spoke with some embarrassment. Hearing this, the black and white king instantly showed a thoughtful expression. Let a demon become a beggar in the village, could it be that the overall situation of that senior also includes the demon realm? He understood instantly. You are. And when Ming Tianbei saw the black and white king, he plopped down and knelt on the ground, his heart trembling. He didn't know the black and white king, but at this moment, he felt the Hongmeng demonic chi from the black and white king. This is a demon king. He trembled. Even if he follows Xuanhuan, he is just a demon king. The demon king is a terrifying existence that makes the demon realm tremble whenever he raises his hand. Now, a demon king actually appeared in front of him. A trace of reminiscence flashed in the eyes of the black and white king, and he stepped forward and said, "I am black and white." Black and white? These two words completely shocked Ming Tianbei. The black and white demon king, the legend among demon kings. He stared blankly at the black and white king. Throughout the entire demon realm, the demon king was a legendary figure. The king of black and white, a fellow cultivator of immortals and demons, and a body of good and evil, so he once left a great reputation in the demon realm. The king of black and white looked at Ming Tianbei, smiled with emotion, patted Ming Tianbei on the shoulder and said, "Pick it carefully. What you pick up is not garbage, but the rise and fall of the entire demon realm. I'm also going to meet that senior." After saying that, he continued to move forward. Looking at the backs of Duguyuking and others leaving, Ming Tianbei was stunned. All of a sudden, his eyes suddenly became wet. What I picked up wasn't garbage, it was the rise and fall of the entire demon realm. He clenched his fists. One day, he was recognized by a being like the demon king of black and white. He patted himself on the shoulder. What an honor this is. At this moment, he was deeply determined. Trash, I will get up early and work till dusk to pick up all the trash. He wiped away his moved tears, encouraged himself firmly, and murmured, "Come on, scavenger." In the small courtyard, Li Fan is still thinking about the maze. Finally found it? He let out a sigh of relief. Not to mention, the title of this maze was really interesting, and it made him put some thought into it. At the same time, a butterfly has been unlocked for him in the system. Can be taken out at any time. He suddenly felt relaxed and was one step closer to paying off his debt. I don't know how the fight between Yuking and the others went. Li Fan was confused, it took a little longer for them to go this time. Could it be that he was injured? He was a little worried. "Master, we are back." At this time, a voice sounded outside, and Duguyuking and others pushed the door open and entered. "I'm too busy on New Year's Eve, so I only have one update, sorry." Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 228. Duguyuking and others are back. Li Fan looked over and suddenly smiled. No one was injured. Not worried. and Duguyuking and others had just stepped into this small courtyard. Boom! On Duguyuking's body, thousands of roars and countless avenues were completed. Qingchen's body became more and more ethereal. There seemed to be a flash of black and white light in Zhang Li's eyes. Long Zixuan's body was gleaming with golden light, and there seemed to be a dragon's shadow roaring. The grass that Lu Rang planted was swaying gently, as if it was receiving some kind of mysterious baptism. Seeing this scene, Nanfan Xiling and others were shocked. Immortal, junior brother Yuking and the others have become immortal. Nanfan spoke in surprise. What a powerful aura, with 5 immortals, the junior brothers are really getting stronger and stronger. Xiling was also happy. Demon Lord, look at that grass. Gongya pointed to Lu Rang's grass, looking very shocked. A grass can also become immortal. Xianning's big eyes were also filled with surprise. Woof! But at this time, a black shadow rushed out and wanted to kill Wu Dade on the butt. Ah, dead dog! Wu Dade screamed and immediately fought with the black dog. Seeing this, everyone burst into laughter. It's good to be back. Li Fan smiled and said, how's it going? How was the harvest from this fight? Hearing this, Duguyuking stepped forward and said, Master Qi, we have a great victory. Completely won. Li Fan couldn't help but nodded with pleasure. Junior brother, what happened? Nanfan was sending messages towards Long Zixuan. Senior sister Qi, the tens of millions of troops in the 3 major heavens have been completely wiped out, and the 3 major forbidden areas have been bulldozed. Long Zixuan answered concisely through voice transmission. Hearing this, Nanfan and others were all shocked. Directly eliminated the 3 major heavens, and the restricted area? Terrible. By the way, Master, we found 3 stone tokens. Duguyuking took out the stone orders of the 3 heavens. Upon seeing this, Li Fan's eyes suddenly lit up. Very good. In this way, you can unlock 3 more butterflies. He already has enough to get 5 more butterflies. Yongzi will come again soon, and he can do business. Li Fan has had enough of worrying all day long. Very good. Li Fan said in approval. Duguyuking and others were very happy. After so long, they could finally do something for their master. By the way, Master, we met Black and White on the road, and he wanted to come to see you. At this time, Zhang Li stepped forward and spoke. Black and White. As soon as these 2 words came out, Nanfan, Xining and others present were shocked. Black and White? What these 2 words represent? Only one person. The King of Black and White? The King of Black and White? Hasn't he disappeared in the years? How come? They were all confused. Duguyuking immediately sent a message and briefly explained what happened in the 3 heavens. Hearing this, Xianning and others were even more shocked. He is indeed the legendary King of Black and White. Even if there is only one piece of human skin left, he can still defeat the 5 kings. Nanfan looked shocked. A strong man who was born in the wrong era, on top of the immortal way, there is actually a holy way. Xiling also murmured, her eyes looking at Li Fan had completely changed. She had previously believed that the master should be a figure like the immortal king, most likely similar to the legendary Black and White king. But I didn't expect, even the Black and White king would come to pay homage to the master. Master, he is definitely a figure in the realm of the holy way. Only now did she realize that she still underestimated her master's level. The demon king of Black and White, a demon king who shocked the past and the present. Gongya murmured. Xianning's big eyes were filled with shock, and the look she looked at Li Fan became more and more incredible. Big brother is really awesome, is he a senior who survived the ancient era? She guessed. Li Fan, on the other hand, looked confused. Black and White? Who is he? Never heard of it? Duguyuking and others were stunned for a moment. Master, don't you know the king of black and white? That's right, how can a being like Master know the name of a mere junior? Zhongli was very relieved and felt that it was natural. He immediately explained. Master Qi, black and white is a senior who loves chess. He has great respect for Master's chess skills. Hearing this, Li Fan also understood instantly. It turns out he is a Go enthusiast. Invite him in. Li Fan smiled. Hearing this, Zhongli was immediately overjoyed. He immediately turned around, walked out of the small courtyard, looked at the black and white kings waiting solemnly outside, and said, Senior, my master has allowed you to enter. The king of black and white suddenly trembled slightly. His face was full of anticipation and excitement. He walked over step by step, crossed the threshold, and entered the small courtyard. When the black and white king entered the small courtyard, his whole body froze. Sky! What a smell this is! Thousands of ways roar, the holy way is unparalleled. Such a terrifying rule. Such supreme Taoist charm. This unique Qi machine. Is this the true holy way? Is this the true holy way? At this moment, he was trembling and excited. And when he turned his eyes to the scene in the small courtyard. A peach tree. A bunch of chickens. Some carp. A spider. Hiss. He took a breath of air, as if he had seen an unparalleled horror. Is this place the ultimate forbidden place? What kind of person can trap the creatures in the holy way? He murmured, his eyes filled with horror. Master, this is Senior Black and White. At this time, Zhongli introduced the Black and White King to Li Fan. The Black and White King also looked over, his eyes falling on Li Fan. As deep as an abyss, as vast as an ocean, it seems ordinary, but in fact it is extremely transcendent. Even if there are beings in the holy way, I'm afraid it's hard to have such a demeanor. He was deeply shocked and understood. This person must be the owner of this place. An ancient being that is too old to be imagined. Absolutely stand in the holy way. He stepped forward, bowed deeply, and said respectfully. Black and white have met seniors. Black and white have met seniors. Seeing the salute of the king of black and white, Xuanhuan and the others were even more shocked. OMG. Master is really terrible. Even the king of black and white is so respectful? Li Fan smiled and said. You're welcome, old man. I heard Zhang Lion, do you like chess? Black and white said solemnly. In front of seniors, juniors dare not talk about chess skills. Dare not speak. Zhongli and others had complicated expressions. The black and white king's chess skills were definitely unparalleled in the immortal realm. But facing Li Fan, there was only one thing I dared not say. There's no need to be humble. Now that you're here, let's talk about it. Li Fan smiled. Since the other party has come here, it must be to play chess with him. After all, everyone who likes to play chess has this addiction. When the king of black and white heard this, his face was shocked. Did he actually have the opportunity to get advice from this senior? This is a great opportunity. Thank you, senior. He was excited and spoke solemnly. Set the chessboard. Li Fan waved his hand. Zhongli immediately took out the dusty chessboard. Seeing the chessboard, the king of black and white's eyes suddenly showed a look of shock. Why does this chessboard contain my current path? Moreover, the chess skills contained in it are more comprehensive. It is obvious that we are only one step away from entering a higher realm. He murmured. Could it be that my future self has some intersection with the senior in front of me? In this way, this senior is simply unfathomable. He became more respectful. Li Fan smiled calmly and said. Gong Ya, pour some tea. Gong Ya immediately stepped forward respectfully to pour tea. Her heart was filled with awe. The one she was playing chess with her master this time was a demon king. Come from afar, please have some tea first. Li Fan picked up the tea and drank it calmly. When the king of black and white heard this, he also picked up the teacup with respect. The aroma of tea enters the mouth. This. He looked at the cup of tea in shock. Just from the aroma of tea, he actually smelled the aura of the holy way. Could it be said that this cup of tea is the source of the holy way? How can this be? No wonder any one of the senior's disciples has such a strong aura of the holy way. Do you usually eat and drink the things of the holy way? He was trembling and excited. Is this cup of tea a great opportunity given to him by the senior? He was full of respect for Li Fan at this moment. He drank tea solemnly. At this moment, he clearly felt an elegant and transcendent aura of the holy way filling his whole body. The immortal Dao in his body also quickly gave birth to the holy Dao at this moment. The surrounding disciples, De Guyuking, Nanfan, Zhongli, etc. were all shocked. They felt that the aura of the black and white king was undergoing a mysterious change. Please take the lead. Li Fan smiled. The king of black and white's holy path is now growing and the avenue is changing. He immediately respectfully makes a move. At this moment, all the disciples around are watching. They know that this game must involve the collision of various avenues. The black and white king's chess moves are sometimes fierce and sometimes easy to advance and retreat. Attack and defense are mastered very well. However, Li Fan followed his heart to the extreme. It was like he was doing something extremely simple. It's kind of interesting. Li Fan smiled. He had not encountered such an opponent for a long time. The opponent's chess skills can be regarded as an invasion. Able to kill more than a dozen times with myself. He made consecutive moves? What a pity, it's still not smooth enough. Li Fan sighed slightly. After more than 10 moves, he finally discovered that there were still many flaws in the opponent's chess strategy. Hey, if that's the case, I'll help you. He cherished his talent. After all, this was the first time he met such a talented chess player. Immediately, Li Fan fell down. But the black and white king, at this moment, gradually fell into the realm of enlightenment. He seemed to be being guided, searching for something. What are you exploring? He seemed to see the merging of black and white. It was as if I saw the blending of good and evil. It's like seeing the gathering of immortals and demons. That's true freedom. There is no distinction between good and evil, only freedom. Goodness is also freedom. Evil is also free. The prince of black and white falls. Suddenly, at this moment, he closed his eyes. Moment. He seemed to have traveled through time and space. At this moment, Zhongli next to him suddenly changed his expression. He also roared with chess skills and was pulled into some strange state. At this moment, Zhongli seemed to be outside time and space. In front of Zhongli's eyes, he saw the scene hundreds of thousands of years ago. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 229. In an instant, Zhongli was on another side of time and space. He was completely shocked and looked up to the front. That is a black forbidden sea. A terrifying battle is taking place. The ant-like human race thinks that a heavenly king with perfect immortality has emerged, so they want to stop us. Even those holy Dao forces have fled. You haven't even perfected the immortal Dao. Why should you stop us from plundering? There is an unknown existence roaring. Along with this roar, all kinds of attacks, all kinds of taboos, and even the breath of the holy way are oppressing and destroying. And at the center of all the storms is a majestic and heroic middle-aged man. Under his feet, black and white lines spread all over the sky, and the chessboard is endless, encompassing this universe, and fighting all enemies in the sky. The king of black and white? At this moment, Zhongli was shocked, because he actually saw the black and white king from hundreds of thousands of years ago. Who is the king of black and white fighting? What existence could push the invincible king of black and white to this point? The king of black and white was motionless, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. He was fighting to the point of madness. My whole life, black and white, is no weaker than anyone else. Even if I don't enter the holy way, I will never allow you to set foot in the immortal realm. I will guard this place. His long hair dances wildly, and the aura of immortals and demons resonates. Black and white, I admit that you are strong, but you have not even reached the perfection of the immortal path, and you are not even the immortal emperor. What can you stop? Facing us, even the holy forces in the immortal realm will flee. Are you worth it? By taking refuge in us, we will not only give you the holy path, but we can also take you out of this broken underworld and into the eternal world of the sun. An old voice sounded, and in his words, there seemed to be a sense of regret for the king of black and white. But the king of black and white stood with his hands behind his back, motionless, saying word by word. Why make any noise? In the old voice, anger gradually rose, thus, I grant you destruction. A huge hand suddenly pressed down on the king of black and white. Those terrifying breaths can destroy almost everything. The chessboard under the feet of the black and white king shattered instantly. The lines of black and white have disappeared. That was a real crush. You were born in the wrong era. If those forces of the holy path had not fled or left you with a trace of the source of the holy path, with your talent, you might really be able to soar into the sky and protect the human race for the rest of your life, but now you are just an ant. The old voice is cold and heartless. The human race, a race of slaves, has no future. The voice sounded like a decree. The king of black and white faces the sky alone, facing the forbidden sea of darkness, his eyes are about to burst. I don't believe it, I don't believe it in black and white. In this life, the power of the holy way has not returned, and the saint has not emerged, then in this life, I will be the one to guard it. Burn my essence and blood, no matter the cost of cause and effect, rush to the future and take advantage of this opportunity. I want to borrow a chance from the future. He roared. He burned countless blood essences. He was dancing wildly, holding a chessboard in his hand, and blood poured out, all of it poured into the chessboard. Rush into the future. If there is no light, I am willing to burn out my blood and die. If there is still a strong person in the future, I will definitely take advantage of the opportunity to defend this life. He roared with all his strength, suddenly tore apart the long river of cause and effect, and threw the chessboard into the long river of time. You overestimate your capabilities and dare to attack the long river of time, you will suffer great misfortune. What's more, the human race has no future, only destruction and darkness. The most powerful alien race suddenly descended with terrifying murderous intentions. The king of black and white is almost about to perish. At this moment, Zhang Li suddenly saw that next to him, another black and white king suddenly appeared. This is the black and white king in the courtyard. Rush into the future, get rid of all the causes and effects, become ominous, and experience strange things, but I will finally see the light. This black and white king took one step forward and suddenly merged with the black and white king in front of him. That is this moment. Boom. The forbidden sea boils. In despair. At the time of destruction. The king of black and white, what step has he taken? Prove the truth and become emperor. Immortal emperor. This time, the terrifying chessboard reappeared, covering the entire forbidden sea area. Thousands of great avenues in the sky and on the earth roared with it, and thousands of divine clouds fell to baptize it. The enemy coming from an unknown place was all horrified at this moment. How is it possible, in the future, will there be a strong person in the human race in the future? Even if he rushes into the future, what he will see is despair and darkness. How can he take back such a terrifying opportunity? The immortal emperor he proved clearly contains the foundation of the holy path. Why? What kind of evil person will appear in the future? You can actually lend him a chance to become emperor, and also grant him the holy path. After traveling through the long river of time, how could he return safely? Unless the strong man on the other side of the years has endured the real weirdness and great cause and effect for him, otherwise, it is impossible for him to return safely. There will be enemies in the hereafter. There will be enemies in the hereafter. The words of those terrifying supreme figures revealed sounds of terror. They seemed to have seen a great terror. The black and white king, who was clearly just the perfect king, rushed into the future and actually borrowed the cultivation of the perfect emperor. How terrifying! At this moment, the king of black and white suppresses all enemies. The flawless and immortal emperor who is full of the holy Dao makes the king of black and white seem to be a god. He controls everything, and no one can be his. The enemy howls. Even those mysterious and powerful ones retreated quickly. Let him live this life, we can wait a little longer. They left after all. Soon, the area calmed down. The emperor of black and white looked around the heavens, his back was lonely and lonely. Rush into the future, I thought it would be despair, but I didn't expect that if I could borrow the emperor's cultivation, there would be light in the future after all. My human race, in the downstream of time, there are still truly invincible ones who can withstand thousands of calamities on their own. At this moment, the emperor of black and white was actually in tears. I have been fighting for a lifetime, even if I am suffering from ominous circumstances, turning into strange things, black and white, I will feel at ease in this life. He looked up to the sky and smiled. I owe a cause and effect to the future, and there is nothing else to repay, only a body of war blood will never be cold. All cause and effect, I will be right or wrong in the future, and I will definitely repay it. He took action with all his strength, and in an instant, great terror, great weirdness, and great ominousness suddenly descended on the sea area. At this moment, the long river of time collapsed, the long river of cause and effect boiled, and the forbidden sea surged. Zhongli was also swept out. The next moment, heaven, small mountain village. In the small courtyard, Zhongli suddenly opened his eyes. He looked at the black and white king who was playing chess with his master in front of him, and his eyes were suddenly filled with shock. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 230. The surrounding group of disciples, Nanfeng, Ziling, and others, were all extremely shocked at this moment. Just now, they seemed to feel a force that transcended time and space, emanating from that chessboard. However, they couldn't get close or grasp it. Have no idea what happened. Only at this moment, Zhongli's heart was filled with shock. Because of his harmonious chess skills, he was drawn into time and space just now and saw what happened in the upper reaches of time. Everything is understood. The king of black and white at this moment. It is the figure of the king of black and white who fought fiercely with alien races hundreds of thousands of years ago and rushes into the future in order to protect the human race. He came to this life, to borrow an opportunity. Borrow from, teacher. The teacher gave him a lifetime of opportunities, and gave him the holy path all over his body. No matter what step he took, he guarded that lifetime. Zhongli murmured. What kind of power is this? Across time and space. And in this life, the king of black and white has only a piece of human skin left, transformed into an ominous form with countless evil thoughts. Is this the price he pays for rushing into the future? He does not know. All he knew was that, the life in which the king of black and white lived was really bitter and desolate. In the end, only the king of black and white is fighting alone, and there is no other person in the world to accompany him. Therefore, he had to rush to the future. At this moment, Zhang Li suddenly felt tears in his eyes. Master is sitting at the bottom of the years, waiting for something. He gave the black and white kings in the upper reaches of the years, the perfect emperor cultivation full of holy ways, but he couldn't come to that life in person. At this moment, Zhang Li was suddenly filled with an impulse. He wanted to kill that sea area and help in the battle. The king of black and white in that life was so lonely. And at this moment, the king of black and white slowly woke up. He was like chaos, like waking up from a dream. He suddenly stood up and bowed deeply to Li Fan. Black and white will die, I would like to take the liberty to ask. The king of black and white looked at Li Fan. At this moment, he understood his mission in this life. The opportunity has been borrowed, and he is about to wither. However, at this moment, he gained a memory that spanned the universe, and his mind was clear, so there was an unsolvable question in his heart. Li Fan looked at the black and white king and smiled, with a hint of approval in his eyes. The opponent's chess skills are indeed good, and he is extremely talented. He is a man who can be made, it's a pity that he is too old. However, the opponent has now reached a new level of chess. Please tell me, Li Fan knows everything he knows. He was very calm. Anyway, this old man was probably asking for advice on chess. Black and white would like to ask, is there anything that is bothering you, senior, now? His eyes were extremely nervous. He understands that this matter involves an eternal secret. Such a powerful man, sitting firmly in the downstream of the years, teaching so many disciples, must be waiting for something. It is very likely that he is an unparalleled enemy. So, he wanted to know. What exactly is there in the future? Is there any existence that can make this senior unable to escape? When Li Fan heard this, he was startled. What was worrying him? But then he smiled, picked up the maze diagram at hand, and said, I don't know what troubles I will have tomorrow, but today's troubles have been solved. The king of black and white looked at the maze map. At this moment, he was greatly shocked. The hidden place, is the senior waiting for the hidden place? He found out the secret of the hidden place. He was shocked. The hidden place, that is a real taboo. It is very likely that it is involved in the source of the trouble. This senior is indeed waiting. Are you going to stop the calamity of eternity with just one person? How courageous is this? He suddenly bowed deeply to Li Fan. No need to be polite. Li Fan smiled and said, we are destined to meet each other. The king of black and white nodded deeply and said, Senior, Junior, take leave. His mission has been completed. It's time to get out of here. Okay, Zhang Li, send this old man away. Li Fan spoke calmly. He could see that the old man seemed to be in poor health, and the roads in and out of the village were difficult to walk. If something happened on the road, it would be bad. Therefore, it is best to let Zhuge Yuking and others escort him. As you command. Zhang Li spoke immediately. Brother, can I send the old man away together? At this time, Xining asked. Li Fan smiled and said, of course. He is happy to see someone who is peaceful and loving. Immediately, Xuanhuan, Zhuge Yuking and others also followed him out. After walking out of the small courtyard, Wang Wubai looked at the four words Wu Xianting and murmured. Unique, really unique. Not long after, they walked out of the mountain village. Just after leaving the mountain village, the aura of the king of black and white suddenly changed strangely. His face was extremely ferocious, as if he was suffering some unspeakable pain. Great ominousness, great horror, great weirdness is coming. Senior. Zhang Li hurriedly stepped forward. Don't worry about me. But the king of black and white stopped him. The king of black and white smiled as hard as he could and said, I have fulfilled my mission. I can meet the senior in this life. Even if I die, I will have no regrets. I guarded that life, in this life, with Senior Li and you all here, I believe, there is still hope for the human race. Rising in blood and fire, you will eventually become the strongest backing of the human race. He looked at Xuanhuan and said, if you can, return to the demon realm as soon as possible, where is the key? Before he could finish his words, some kind of catastrophe that spanned time and space came, and his soul instantly shattered. He has traveled through time and space and borrowed a lifetime opportunity to reveal the secrets of that time and space, triggering murderous intent in the world. Grow up quickly. Before his demise, the king of black and white let out a cry from his soul. Then, suddenly, the king of black and white was completely destroyed. The king of black and white turned into human skin. A piece of shriveled human skin fell at the entrance of the village. Zhang Li suddenly knelt down and burst into tears. He stepped forward and held up the human skin of the black and white king, his hands trembling. Dugu Yuking and others also looked shocked. What on earth is going on? What happened? Terrible. They were all shocked. What kind of power can make such a powerful king of black and white turn into human skin in an instant? Dugu Yuking murmured, it's the backlash of time. No one can rush to the future at will, and no one can go back to the past at will, everything has to pay a price, a terrible price. Hearing this, Xuanhuan's big eyes were filled with an incredible look. She looked at Zhang Li and said, what exactly did you see before? Zhang Li looked at the many brothers and sisters and said, a catastrophe that spans the past, present and future. The black and white king borrowed a lifetime of cultivation from the master and suppressed it for an era, but the catastrophe will eventually come. He murmured, we need to grow quickly. Experience the growth of blood and fire. At this moment, Zhang Li felt an unprecedented sense of urgency. On the Forbidden Sea, the figure of Dugu, the Emperor of Black and White, confronts the enemy. Holy Descent, Immortal Catastrophe, Ancient Catastrophe. Qing Chen was also muttering at this moment, saying, Master cultivated us, perhaps, just to give us more strength when facing catastrophes. After experiencing the battle between the three heavens, they got a glimpse of many great secrets. We must grow up quickly, to experience blood and chaos, and to use life and death battles to temper us. Zhang Li suddenly looked at Dugu Yuking and others, his eyes were so determined. Hearing this, Dugu Yuking and others couldn't help but nod their heads at this moment. Indeed, only in battle can the sword be sharpened to its sharpest state. Dugu Yuking murmured. The demon realm, should I go back? Xuanhuan murmured. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 231. Fairyland. When the five immortal kings broke through the world, the entire immortal realm felt it. After all, the five immortal kings took action together, shattering the boundary wall and breaking through the barriers. Extremely scary. Everyone is paying attention. However, soon, the news of the return of the five immortal kings also spread throughout the entire immortal realm. This caused a big stir in the immortal realm. What happened in the lower realm? What can happen that can make the five immortal kings descend to the realm together? Incredible. Last time, it was the first time that the immortal king appeared in the heaven. Everyone is paying attention. At the same time, the news of the comeback of the first heaven realm spread throughout the world, causing a huge earthquake in the immortal realm. The first heaven realm is actually coming back. Isn't the immortal king of that time completely dead? It's terrible, no wonder the five immortal kings have to go down to the realm in person. With the action of the five immortal kings, everything is doomed. Even the Wuji Sword King will only have the fate of falling. There was heated discussion among all parties, and at the same time, the outcome was almost predetermined. There won't be any surprises. Haha, the immortal king has personally descended to the realm. No matter how powerful the first heaven is, there is only one way to die. If I guessed correctly, the immortal king should have entered the heavenly king sequence and is invincible in heaven and earth. In the Xianming immortal kingdom, in the main hall, the two heavenly lords Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan, as well as a group of immortal lords, are discussing. The immortal king takes action and gets their attention. Boom! At this moment, the entire immortal kingdom was shaken, and a terrifying figure appeared above the entire immortal kingdom. The immortal king is back. Instantly, there was a sensation in the hall. Xianguang Tianjun and Xuanxia Tianjun were extremely excited and led everyone out of the hall in a hurry. Look up. I saw that above the sky, a big sun seemed to be crumbling. Oh my God, what happened? Why does it feel like the immortal king's state is not stable? What happened in the lower realm? Can it actually affect the state of the immortal king? Is it true that the immortal king of the first heaven realm has returned? The entire Xianming immortal kingdom was shocked. At this moment, above the immortal kingdom, the face of Xianming immortal king was so pale. He was hidden in the sun, but his entire body was extremely unstable. Light and darkness are intertwined. Black and white. He was filled with hate. The matter has come to this, I can only sacrifice the fairyland. He made a difficult decision, and suddenly, he opened his mouth and took a breath. At this moment, in the vast Xianming immortal kingdom, countless cultivators, from the heavenly lord to the golden immortal, suddenly screamed in agony. My cultivation was sucked away by something. My way. No. The power of fairy spirits and the power of light that each cultivator has cultivated has been absorbed countless times at this moment. Gathered above the sky. Suddenly, above Tianyu, the Xianming immortal king, who was originally in a very unstable state, suddenly suppressed his state. Immediately afterwards, he sank directly into a secret place in the fairyland and began to practice in seclusion. In front of the main hall, a group of heavenly kings, immortal kings, etc. were all wailing at this moment. Their realm fell, and the power of light they had cultivated so hard disappeared. No. The Xianguang Tianjun and the Xianming Tianjun instantly became so old that they were about to die, and they couldn't even breathe. Most of their cultivation was sucked away. No. The immortal king was severely injured, that's why the immortal kingdom needs to support him. Xianguang Tianjun murmured, looking horrified. What happened in the lower realm? Even the immortal king was hit hard. Xian'an Tianjun's face was extremely ugly, the skin on his face was almost cracked, and his vitality was draining to the ground. No, we have to retreat immediately, otherwise we will die too. This scene is just a microcosm. At this moment, on the land of immortal realm. In the western immortal territory, in a Buddhist kingdom, countless monks were wailing, and their cultivation levels had plummeted. In the central immortal territory, in Anchuo immortal kingdom, there were wailing sounds, like the end of the world. In the eastern immortal territory, the Mingluo immortal kingdom is even more miserable. The creatures are dead, and all their blood has been absorbed by the Mingluo immortal king. The reason why the immortal king established the immortal kingdom was not only to leave his own inheritance, but also to have hundreds of millions of disciples as supplements on the path of cultivation in times of crisis. Therefore, on weekdays, the immortal king will promote the development of the immortal kingdom. In times of crisis, the immortal kingdom must also support the immortal king. Such things have happened in all the major immortal kingdoms. When the news came out, there was a huge earthquake in the fairyland. How is it possible that the 5 immortal kings in the lower realm were all horrifically attacked and killed? All of them are seriously injured, they all need to absorb the power of the fairy kingdom to repair themselves. What exactly happened in the lower realm? Investigate immediately. In countless fairy kingdoms, even the giants of fairy kings have to pay attention. Because when it comes to the immortal king, no one can be safe. And at this moment, somewhere in the ancient mountains, immortal King Orin is coming step by step. His body was covered in scars and his whole body was extremely depressed. His face was extremely ugly. Walking forward, a layer of restriction suddenly fell down. He knelt on the ground and said, "Olin, please see your ancestors." The king of black and white returns to the lower realm. As soon as these words were spoken, countless restrictions suddenly disappeared. Ahead, a road suddenly appeared. Immortal King Olin walked in step by step. Deep in this mountain range, there is an ancient temple. The temple was all made of brass, and looked gray and yellow under the erosion of time. In the temple, you can vaguely see several figures sitting cross-legged. The king of black and white is no longer in the fairyland. He traveled through the fairyland and entered the demonic realm. He died on the forbidden sea. How can he reappear? An old voice sounded instantly. This voice was filled with an aura of forbidden evil. Reporting to the ancestor, Olin doesn't know, but he did reappear. Besides, it should be just a piece of residual memory, a piece of human skin. With a thought in his mind, he took the initiative to show the scene when he was in the lower world. When the figure of the king of black and white slowly appeared. No. A chi machine suddenly shattered the screen. This person carries great ominousness, great terror, and great taboo, and cannot be shown here. An older voice sounded. In the past, the king of black and white waited hard for the Holy Lord to descend but failed. Now he appears, perhaps just to fulfill his last wish. This ancient voice murmured. The descent of the Holy Clan is coming. If the black and white immortal king stays in the lower realm, I'm afraid he will destroy the coordinates left by the ancient clan and create trouble for the return of the Saint clan. It's time to activate the ancient summoning formation to return the coordinates left in the lower world to the fairyland. Only in this way can we protect those coordinates from the vicious hands of the king of black and white. The ancient words are full of worries. Yes, the king of black and white has always had a hatred for the saints. He even broke through the saints' restricted area in the past. He is a great evil in the lower realm. All the veins of the Holy Clan are connected with the same spirit. It's time to join together and welcome the Holy Descendant. Inform all the forbidden areas and activate the summoning formation. For a time, everyone in the ancient palace reached a consensus. The news spread instantly. In the northern immortal realm, somewhere in a dead lake. The king of black and white is in the lower realm. That beast will definitely attack the coordinates of the saints. It's time to summon him back. A voice full of resentment sounded. The Holy Spirit has returned. He should be in the immortal realm. It's time to open the summoning formation. Somewhere in the abyss, the clouds and mists were billowing, and the same ancient words came out. In the past, many saints left coordinates in the lower world, just for fear of being discovered and destroyed by the enemy, so that they could hide. Now, the king of black and white is in the lower world. We should summon many coordinates from the lower world to the upper fairyland and become part of the fairyland. In a dark ancient mine, hoarse voices rang out from the cave. Today, countless voices rang out in various forbidden areas in the immortal realm. In various forbidden areas, countless ancient magic circles suddenly lit up. The aura of terror is overwhelming. At this moment, in a secret valley. Haha, the first heaven realm. It just so happens that my clan still has the blood essence and blood of the G family in the past. I used paper to summon it and summoned the first heaven realm up, and then destroyed it. The lord of the secret valley, murmuring in a low voice, poured a bottle of ancient blood into the terrifying magic circle. Suddenly, there was a huge earthquake in the fairyland.